All
I will
right.
just stay in here in this little baby box.
You look full screen to us.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so it won't take very much time, but I think I just had a really big question around like what's coming up for me right now, which is like worthiness and this pattern of like finding worthiness outside of ourselves or feeling like, how do I want to say this? It's almost like this pattern that's coming up around seeking validation or worthiness outside of us versus allowing that to be um, versus allowing us to just be enough in the present moment. I guess is
Mm,
the best way to put it.
I love it.
That's
I
is
love
that
it.
that's a really big theme for me.
It's a big theme.
So
I think it's a big theme for all of us, and I really do. And I'll if especially I don't know if you're on social media, but if you're on social media, it's even more potent, but in a very subtle, mind controlling way. So it really messes with our identity, I think, in ways that like 30 years ago, 20 years ago, it just wasn't the same. Um, so if you know anything about me, you know that I deal with this all the time. I was even, feeling into that energy today, right? Um, and
sound
so
like you're the perfect person to ask this
yeah,
question.
it's like my number one like thing that I'm just it's insecurity and worthiness, right?
Totally.
And so the way that I handle it or deal with it is one, like, so I don't ever sort of expect it to go away. Like, so there's not an attachment to like, when is this going to go away? There's an awareness that it's back. Oh, here it is today. It's really strong today, right? Yesterday, I didn't really feel it. Today, it was like, it's back, kind of back type of thing, right? So, what I do is I don't try to change it. And I don't try to like, I don't even try to get clear on my thoughts at this point. Basically, what I'm doing is it's almost like I'm watching, like I'm observing almost like a radio station that's playing, right? Like I'm observing the loudness of that voice. It's annoying. It's kind of like a freaking flea or like something in the background that's talking that just won't shut up. You're like, can you please just? It's an annoying friend that's not stop won't stop talking. So I see it as something that's like a nuisance that's here again. That's the first thing I do. I'm constantly observing it. So what that does is it allows me to kind of stretch out of it a little bit so I'm not identifying as it. But it still pulls me. Unworthiness will just pull you, right? It'll pull you in. And then what happens for me, I don't know about you, but if I go on social media, forget about it. I will compare myself to somebody. What happens is there's this really strange, I literally just wrote, I kid you not, stay focused on like in and on you. I literally wrote it and I put a little heart right before, because what happens for me personally is I'll get on social media to check something, you know, um, or just because it's an addiction, let's be real.
Yep.
And I'll see somebody and then there will be like, why am I not doing that? Is that this is me, like somebody that has a pretty big following, right? It's like, am I supposed to be doing that? Should I be speaking like that? How should I share? Should I be sharing like that? Like, like, and I just start comparing. And then it's like, I feel into the energy of that. So I'll be like, wow, that energy just pulled me in. So I'm aware of the energy. So if it's something external, right, that is making you feel either unworthy or it's giving you that sense of worthiness. You want to just be really clear. Like you want to start turning on your energetic antennas so that you can feel the pull. I just got pulled into this person's account. I'm all of a sudden I'm thinking about how I'm not this or I'm not that. That's key. It's like, okay, so if I don't have these external things, right, then I must not be dot dot dot. To be able to really turn that up, and observe it and feel it and hear it is really, really important. It's uncomfortable, but it's important because the louder that you can kind of turn it up, meaning the more intense you can feel it, the more you can bring yourself back to you. So what do I do? Well, I will it's almost like I have this tunnel vision where I bring myself back into what I like to call like my signature. Like, wait, it's so hard to describe how I do this, but I'll think of my name. So I'll say my name, right? I'll just say my name, and then I will try to sort of tap into my voice, or what do I know as my truth? What do I was looking at my book, trying to get I was this like out of like who am I? Where's my identity feeling? I was like, let me look at my book. And I was like, wait, did I write that book? Who wrote that book? What's that book about? Like really massive, like who am I type of feelings. Like what do I exist? What do I know? What do I want to say? What do I and this is coming from somebody that has a platform that's been doing this, right? So if I'm feeling this, I can't even imagine what other people are feeling. So it was really a sense of like what I do. I don't know if this makes any sense because it's more of an experience, but I've refocused and kind of bring my awareness back to like to me. So it's like I quiet things, I slow down, I turn social media off. I focus as much as I can quietly into just like, wait, who am I? And can I feel me? Can I feel a tiny piece of me? Like, and the way you can feel you is like, what is one of your truths? What is something you believe in? What is something that that is an absolute in your life, right? Like trying to pull yourself back to you in tiny little ways, right? And especially if there is a feeling of you brought up like external things, and needing these external things that can feel very draining. It's like your energy's going out and you feel depleted, or you feel it doesn't feel right. Like it just doesn't feel right. It feels wrong. It feels off. It feels out of alignment. And so again, having that awareness, having that observation, paying attention to that loud, annoying radio, and then, okay, wait, how can I just tunnel vision myself back into me? You know, writing little things down, like I wrote down, like these tiny little things, like slowing everything down, quieting, turning the phone off, and just sitting for a moment and being like, wait, who am I? Is there one thing that I can pull in that's mine? Is there one thing that I can pull in that's me? And these little things aren't necessarily going to, it's not like you're like, I am worthy. Like that shit never works for me, you
Yeah,
know?
it's very it's almost like you start to notice like all the little stories that you've kind of added along the way to kind of back up this validity of whatever story you're trying to tell yourself and hold on to. So for me, it's never been about what I've been telling myself as so much about what I'm feeling. And that has always been my guidance, but it's always kind of tripped me up too, because I kind of get it intertwined, I guess you would say, with other people's stuff because I do feel a lot of things. And so it's like, all right, is this my shit? Is this somebody else's shit? Like, whose shit is this?
I think that's really important. So my recommendation is not to turn it down, but to turn it up. And what I mean by that is, we don't want things to get quieter. We want to have things get louder, which can be very uncomfortable. Because that's the only way that you're going to be able to tell if it's yours or if it's someone else's. Is to get more curious as to what you felt the moment beforehand, what you felt during, and what you feel afterwards. And it's not so much that you have to figure it out, okay? You just want to be curious with like almost like a scientist type of thing, especially if you're feeling more than your thoughts are consuming you. So if it's more feeling that's taking over, that's almost more powerful than the thoughts, because the feeling is like a magnet that just pulls you, right? So it's really hard to separate you from the feelings. It's harder to observe it. It's all consuming, and so you become that which you're feeling. um it's most likely that you are feeling, even today when I came on, I was like, I can't pinpoint what's happening in the collective, but it's a feeling that I'm feeling and the collective is feeling. So you may not know whether it's yours or whether it's somebody else's that you just connected with or whatever that is. But the more that you can get comfortable with that uncomfortableness, not try to get rid of it, but just be comfortable with it and understand that this is the energetic human. And this is you just trying to fine tune what the freak, like how to do this, how to navigate this. Um, what I would suggest with you, and this is with anyone that's really feeling a lot more like energetically, which is basically feeling. Okay. It just means that there's a lot of energy that you're feeling. It's energy. Is start to imagine that you have like get more curious. So imagine that you have like a microscope, and it's like some emotion turns up in you, or some feeling turns up, meaning it gets more intense out of the blue or because of something. Instead of making a story about it or trying to fix it or change it, right? Or even judge it. Start to get curious about it. Like, wow, wait a second, this is intense. Holy cow, I'm feeling this jealousy, or I'm feeling this insecurity, and and I feel it in my chest, or I feel it in my, like, wherever you're feeling it. And the more that you can do that, the more that you will start navigating everything from that lens of energetic curiosity. And so it's less about trying to change and fix something, and
Mm-hmm.
it's more about this empowerment, this power or empowerment of like, holy shit, I just did this and I noticed that I started feeling dot dot dot. Wow, right? And just that awareness shifts you. So does this make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because it's like it's keeping you, the awareness automatically brings you back into the present moment so that you're not staying in the story. And it's
Exactly.
kind of similar to the same thing that I do when I'm like catching myself, observing myself in the experience, but I'm not liking what I'm necessarily feeling or experiencing, noticing that it's not very comfortable. But instead of continuing a story or going into judgment about it, I'm like, oh, look at me. I have to say it out loud, because if I say it in my head, it doesn't pull me out. But if I say it out loud, and not that I want to pull myself out, but it's just like it gets me it pops me back into an awareness when I say it out loud. Oh, look at me,
Yeah.
as in me speaking to myself in a third person, but I'm being super aware of myself. Doesn't mean that things are going to change when I say, oh, look at me doing this, or oh, look at me doing that. But it definitely helps create the pause for me to then be able to be that much more present and aware of myself in that moment.
That's awesome. That's a really good tool to pop. That's what you want. You want to pop out of the identification as it, that you want that pop. The next step that I would recommend is, once you kind of pop, because I don't know about you, but you'll find yourself like going back in and then you pop
Oh,
yourself out and then you go
absolutely.
back in, then you pop yourself out, right? So it's this game of like,
Take some
you know,
temptation.
yeah, you're just constantly popping in and out. Once you pop out, during that moment of popping out, try to bring your awareness, because what's happening is there's like a scattered energy, right? So it's like energies feel sort of scattered. There's a almost like a sense, like a lack of control. It feels very off. It can feel very off balance. So, it's like a tornado came in all of a sudden, right? Or something. So once you're able to pop yourself out, then imagine that you're turning the focus inward and then try to do that inward sort of like, wait, who am I? Like, wait, try to tap into you, which at whatever you identify as you, whether it's a knowingness, a familiarity, the feeling of home, like, and you may not know any of it, but trying to start practicing that, um, it reconnects you to yourself. Because I think what's happening to a lot of us is that we are being pulled out of ourselves. We're getting lost. There's this feeling of being really starting to get lost. Like we're being dangled or we're being pulled or we're being split or we're being confused, we're being like, just and I think part of it is what's happening in the collective, and I think part of it is just the evolution of being more energetic,
Right.
and learning how to navigate the energies, the feelings, the emotions, the thoughts. um, but yeah, it's a great question. It really helps me clarify what's happening on the planet, I think, just by hearing your experience too. You know, it's not,
Yeah.
you're definitely not alone. I mean, a couple people were like, I have a question about worthiness. Um, and I think it's just really important to keep turning it up. Don't turn it down. Don't try to get rid of it. We want it loud, because the louder that we can get it, as uncomfortable as it is, um, the I don't want to use the term faster, but it's like the easier it is for us to go through it, and because the crazy
Yeah.
thing, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's almost like once you make the awareness, once you see it, it's like I mean, awareness is the light, so it's like you're bringing in that much more light into what you're in, therefore you're able to see it more clearly. And in that perspective, that's giving you a chance to be able to then navigate it in an easier way. Not to say that it's going to feel easier, but you're at least able to see what you're in versus feeling like you don't know what the fuck you're in at all and you're just
Yeah,
completely lost. It's
exactly.
almost like that little bit of an anchoring back home
Yeah,
to you in that awareness.
yeah, 100%. And it's also, when you do that, it will go away faster than if you try to kind of grab it and fix it.
Yeah. Because really,
And
what are you fixing?
what are you fixing? You're not really fixing anything. What you're being asked by you to see is ways in which you have allowed yourself to be identified in this world, or allowed yourself to be, see, this is what's so crazy, is like we're like just tapping into your energy, right? And my energy, it's like, wow, we're literally popping ourselves out of unconscious or subconscious ways that we've been living, that we haven't even been aware of. Like, truly. And you and I would be like, I wasn't this insecure or unworthy 10 years ago. And it's like, you were, it was so subconscious that you didn't think that you were. You thought you had your shit together. And now, and we had all these patterns in our life that we thought were totally cool and normal. And like we were kicking life's ass and like everything was great. And little did we know, underneath that, the consciousness was this subconscious of unworthiness or insecurity or whatever it is. So now it's just boiling up. That's all it's doing, is just like It's almost like we're getting thinner and thinner in our
Mhm.
energies, and so there's nowhere to run anymore. There's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to run, the unworthiness is gonna be there. Welcome to the unworthiness club. Like, are you a part of it? I'm a part of it, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It just is what it is, and it's in that awareness, it's in that surrendering, it's in that acceptance, it's in that, like, "Fuck, this sucks, this is so uncomfortable." Unworthiness is such an uncomfortable feeling, um, and like you were saying, just in the observation of that, and talking to yourself, that in and of itself shifts you. That is the shift, and then it just becomes easier and easier to watch it, to observe it, to be like, oh, you're back today, like, where'd this come from? There's usually not a lot of reason for it, it just pops back. You're like, oh, well, that's fabulous. I know
It's
you
like
won't
the
be
rain. It's like, "Oh, okay, cool, it's raining. Oh, okay, cool,
exactly,
there's sun." Yeah.
exactly,
You
exactly.
don't try to control that. You don't really
No.
question that.
Mm-mm.
You either go into an agreement with it that you're gonna, experience it, or you're gonna go into an agreement that you're gonna fight the experience. But either way, the experience is gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. So how do you wanna go through it, you know? It's a
Yeah.
really good analogy. It's like, okay, it's raining outside, you could run out there and be like, "Yeah!" And just feel it all and be like, or you could be like, just watch it from a distance and be like, "Oh, okay, look at that rain. Wonder how long it's gonna last. I don't know." We don't know how long these experiences stay. Experiences meaning the feelings of dot dot dot. But as long as you don't identify as it, which means that you're constantly trying to pop yourself out, and
Mhm.
popping yourself out is okay. I got to become the observer. I got to become the observer. I got to become the observer. Um, and then even when you're not being the observer, can you be the observer of that? Right. So, like, even when you're in it and you're like, I suck, or this is, whatever it is, can you even observe that piece?
Can you go deeper? Can you observe more?
Yeah. It's really the way through it instead of changing or fixing it, you know?
Totally.
Um, yeah.
Because then if I just feel like when you try to change and try to fix something, you're not really being in the experience. You're trying to again, yeah, therefore yet again trying to control the situation and trying to make it something that you think it needs to be.
Yeah, there's a resistance. Um, and I mean, as the energetic button keeps going, getting higher and higher, meaning that you start feeling more and more and more, it's the easiest way through all of this is to not resist. That's the flow state, right? Is like, okay, I'm just going to experience what this is. And of course, we've been taught to do the opposite, which of course can work. But my theory on all of that is you're only changing something for a moment. It's going to come back.
Oh,
It's
for sure.
not designed to be. You're not designed to control it. You have to just let it be. And the more you try to control and change and experience and energy, emotion, thought, belief, the more you're going to cycle it through. We cycle it through anyways, right? It's not to say that you don't want to change a thought. It's that you have to be the observer of all of it first, right? And simply by being the observer, you actually won't want to change the thought, because the moment you become the observer, you realize you're not it anyways, so there's nothing to change.
Exactly. And that's when I feel like the like you were talking about, like the thinness of the energy starts to, take form. It starts to release a lot of that density
Yeah.
and starts to bring in a lot of that lighter energy.
Yeah.
So you're not anchoring so much of that. You're actually able to just move through it.
Yeah, that's why I think it's dangerous at times to be like, I'm an empath, and it's unsafe, or I think that we're all going to become more empathic, more energetic. That's it's just going to get more. We need it to. That is literally what we're becoming. That is this evolution, is that the feeling state more and more and more, and it's just gonna make our we're gonna think we've lost our minds, we're gonna think that we're de-evolving, we're like, "Holy shit, what the hell?" Like, you know,
I mean, we've already lost our minds when it comes to talking to ourselves, right? Because we're so programmed. That's crazy. Why are you talking to yourself? You know,
Yeah,
so that in of itself, we've already lost our minds. So who cares? Let's just throw the robots out
exactly.
the window.
Yeah. Yeah, really quick question. You're
Yeah.
definitely much more aware than you give yourself credit for. I think a lot of us do that, but you're definitely much more um you're navigating this much more consciously than you are perhaps giving yourself credit for. So, yeah,
I would
good job.
totally agree.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good job. Good job. Yeah, thanks for your
Well,
question.
I appreciate you so much, Lori, and you and Phil both. I know we always tag you guys together, but it's the it's the love and support and the genuine energy that comes from you guys that gives, I know for me personally, the I would say the hope, but just the comfort
Yeah,
that we're not alone and we're not the only ones experiencing this way. And it's okay to show up exactly as you are. So
yes.
thank you for that. I'm
Yes,
just so
yes, yes.
grateful.
That we're it's okay to show up exactly as you are. Hallelujah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
sitting on the bathroom floor right now, you guys. Like
Yes,
I'm I'm as I am right now.
I love it. It's so freeing, it's a really nice freeing space to be in, and I think we need that more and more, so
Totally. Well,
thanks
I'm
for
grateful for
sharing
you.
your
Thank you. And I don't know how to get off of here.
I'll log you
Okay.
off.
Okay. Well,
Thanks
thank you.
so
I
much.
love you so much.
Love
Thank
you
you.
too. Bye.
Bye.
The Unworthiness Club. Raise your hand. I think it's so important.